Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to something that I like to do in CSGO, which is called Nerd Talk. It's essentially everything that I've seen in gameplay tournaments of like Luminosity, Virtus Pro. I watch every single game on Twitch. I also stream in Twitch, the Aegis Ranger. But today I'm going to go over Mirage Nerd Talk, okay? So we're going to be talking about things that you can use during competitive matches that can be used to your advantage. So say like, if I'm right here, I'm facing this ticket booth. This is a very wall bangable spot with an AWP, Arctic Warfare Rifle. You can easily get a headshot if you aim a little bit to the left, their left, of this corner. So if I'm at Tetris here, that wall bang spot, you just need to find out where the corner is. You just line it up. You look at this line, aim a little bit to the left, and you should get a headshot on the guy standing here. It's a very overplayed spot, and you can just line it up and get that wall bang very easily. Like, if you know someone's CT, spamming this spot over and over again is really, really good. Just so you can get that free kill. Everyone loves to hide right here, or right here, but there's nothing you can really do about this unless you do a molotov behind your CT smoke. It still burns them, even if they're on top of the garbage can. So, on the Luminosity point of view, they like to execute A. And the Palace player usually doesn't... They mentioned that a lot of players do not usually use smokes and flashes when they're in Palace. They usually just take the op and they peek out at stairs, etc. Well, there's something that Fallen taught on his Portuguese-Brazilian stream, where you line up with this line, and you see these little grid, this grid thing right here. You aim at the one just under the light, and then you go about an inch or 2 centimeters away from the wall with that measurement. You toss, and what this should do is it does this smoke. So sometimes there'll be like a hole at this corner right here. You could also pair this up with a flashbang when you throw out. So like, say your teammates throw their smokes, you throw that, you throw some flashes, and then when you execute out, you can just drop and help your team. Or you can stay up and use this as a sort of one-way. Let me do that smoke again. This smoke is usually supposed to have a hole. So I'm going to do the same lineup again. It goes farther the closer to the wall. The only problem is that there's these, these wood boards. It's because of this little edge on the other side. It taps it, so you have to do it 1 inch away or it won't go out. When you do that, you execute all your smokes like this, and this, and usually you'll have a lot of trouble with under Palace. So what Fallen showed people is that you can go to this corner, you aim at the lower edge of this little square hole, or rectangle, whatever, with a Molotov, and it Molotovs perfectly under Palace. I find that when you throw a Molotov from a ramp right here, it's not as consistent, hence why it did that. It came out and it didn't Molotov the underneath ladder. So, say like you want to play on top Palace, this is something that I've seen pro players use, is you gotta know where like the enemy's coming from. So there's this little hole right here between the plank of wood and this, I don't know, bricks, whatever. Say you have an op or an M4. You just need to look at the little crack, and as soon as you see movement in that crack, you can shoot. You pre-spam. And what this does is it makes it so that your reaction time is better than the enemy. It's like peeking through mid doors on Dust 2. You see them cross, but it's impossible. It's like impossible to hit the shot unless you have God reaction time. But right here, you see them cross, but they come into another area where you can hit them. So you can anticipate the movement, anticipate the reaction. If they jiggle peek, they probably won't see you here. Because usually, when you're peeking from Palace, you're peeking like this, and right here, they see like the edge of your body. As you're peeking for stairs, they know when you're coming. You could also set it up for slow peeking. If you think they're going to slow peek, you just aim at the hole when they jiggle peek. Right here. When they're at the hole, they're usually peeking the stairs angle, and you could get that free frag. Should be pretty easy enough. But if it goes through both of the wood things, I don't know if it's a full damage. The full, like, amount. I just know that you could use this little hole to your advantage when you're playing this game. Okay. So now I'm going to go over, like, Luminosity smokes. I usually watch every Luminosity game they play. So, in mid, this smoke is very important if you want to take mid control. I say this because if I have an opera right here, you can't see the cross to garbage or boxes, whatever this is called. Usually when you do this smoke, you can set up for the most important smoke in Mirage, which is mid-window smoke. You put your back to this wall, you aim at the top of the buildings, and you just run forward and throw.
I'm throwing smoke.
And like that, it smokes off window with 0 holes. 0. Zilch. Nada. And what this smoke enables you to do is just take cats. Take connector. Go underpass. Do wraps. Do crazy things, you know? You can even do this. But this is just very known. If you do this and you're in the smoke, it's recommended that you either walk through it or you throw a flashbang. What I recommend you do if you have an op is when you make this jump and you land, you shoot, so they don't hear you go into window. Because usually when you're doing this boost, you'll always hear jumping, and they'll say, they're boosting. But if you shoot an op shot, you'll cover your steps. Okay. So that's all good and dandy. We're going to go over something that Adren has used, which is the 2 flashbangs, which people only like usually do is this flashbang or this flashbang. And they're perfectly fine. They blind people here, like in this general vicinity. But what these flashbangs don't do is they don't blind people on cat. They don't blind people playing this weird position. They don't blind people playing like jail, because they're going to turn. Those are obvious flashbangs. The one flashbang that every person should learn, but it's really hard to do, is this one. I'm going to demonstrate. I might even like fail at doing it.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
I'd failed. It's a flashbang where when you throw it, your flash goes out the window and into the site. It flashes the angles, which Get Right plays, which like NBK plays, like, or Kiyoshima. These are positions that don't get flashed normally. But when you throw that one flash, you cover all bases for your team. You cover the area flash where they usually won't get flashed, I'm saying. And the only place you need to really check is Van, because this guy, he doesn't get flashed by anything. He's just right here in the corner, which is why it's such a good spot for Mag 7. So this flashbang, it has to do something with this decal right here. And when you get up close, I say like up to this wall, you aim just above this little box thingy, like right there. And when you're at like 250 velocity, or 200 something, because flashbang makes you go slower, you release. Max velocity. It goes out, and it flashes whoever. You don't want it to hit here, though, because it doesn't blind cat dude. And cat's very commonly played on B site when you're in higher ups. Aim a little bit above the decal, and it should do that. It should come out and bounce. Or it can even drop and fall right here. Ideally, it falls right there. You just gotta play with that a little bit. But that's a flashbang that makes B executes amazing. Absolutely amazing. Alright, I'm going to talk about something that CT side can do. It is something that coldzera usually does. Coldzera plays B apartments with an op. He plays this spot, right? This is where the very famous jumping op came from. It's very difficult to do this, right? But something that you can do is go apps. And I never usually recommend going to apps because you kind of kill time, but you need to if you do this, it warrants you jumping up into apartments and playing it. Because if they do a B rush, then you're screwed. So this smoke, there's like this green line right here, and there's these shadows. I aim right here in the light at the corner of this garbage can.
Smoke.
Throw that smoke. What it should do is it smokes deep apartments. If your smoke appears right here, cancel. Don't do what I'm doing right now. But if your smoke appears right there, it's amazing. So what you can do is do that smoke and jump onto this window. And what this does is when the smoke dissipates, anyone peeking right here, as it dissipates, will die. Or they'll like leg you because it's a very uncommon spot to play, you know? You could also play for the push where you have a mag 7. But if you have a mag 7, you kind of need to wane off so they don't see your body. And you need to play like this. You kind of need to have your crosshair in the wall so they don't see your gun. And then as soon as someone comes by, you flick. That's the only problem playing a mag 7 here. M4, A4, AK-47, AWP, they're all good right here. Deagle, I haven't tested it. It's very risky. You need to hit the shot first. But if you miss your shot, you get to drop. If you hit your shot, you can either stay or you can drop. I'd recommend dropping because they know you're there then. And once you hit your shot, you can just throw a Molotov and fall down. And then you could just call, they're probably going underpass. They're probably going, hey, they're going mid. Like, you could play around with that. It's a mind game. But playing right here is really, really awesome for a B-Apps player. Also, if it's later into the round and you did that smoke I showed you, you can learn this. So, say like they're doing a B rush, right? They're going to be throwing Molotovs right here. They're going to be throwing flashbangs. They're going to try to blind you. If you learn this, the edge jump, you're set. Because if you're right here, they clear you out and they find out you're here, you could go here, jump, and then jump over to the corner, but it takes a lot of practice. And they'll think you dropped. They'll think you dropped because they hear a jump sound, you know? And it's just so they can't do it now. And then when you're right here, you just surprise them, get a free kill, and drop again. It just enables you to make the most out of your position. So holding one person on B is amazing then. You just need to do this as a sequence. The very important smoke. If you want, you can do a flashbang, but it might give away what you're doing. I'm a Dumbo. I'm a potato. And you could just do the jump right here. If you do that flash, you could jump right here. But if you don't do the flash, I'd recommend doing the side swipe. Because I feel like if they rush, you're going to be kind of screwed by nades, etc. They can throw like grenades and it could hit you. They could throw a Molotov. Because a lot of people like to Molotov van, right? If that hits your body, then it's going to Molotov on the area where you're standing. So that is B-side kind of strats. Alright, so I'm going to talk about another Luminosity thing, because I always watch Luminosity. So what Luminosity does on Mirage is they like to have this sort of setup. It's an anti-mid setup. Okay, here's the deal. You have two guys in ladder room, and you have one guy connector. You leave this window open, because when you're in this window, there's always this potential that the enemy team could out-op you. They could do this smoke to make it so that they could cross mid, and then they could do something weird where they jump on top of these boxes, and then they surprise you if you peek a little bit more wider. Like, there's so much potential of dying when you're in this window room. But what Fallen does is he has one guy, look at Cat, right here, and then he has another guy on CT side on the bricks, usually Fur. I think it's Fur and FNX or Taco. I don't remember. But he has one guy here, and this guy watches connector. He watches this cross. He gets the kill, and then he leaves. He could always jump back into the window if they're going B. He could go to A. If he's scared of crossing, he could smoke it off so he could cross. There's so many things this guy can do. And the only time this guy gets screwed is when they come underpass. Because in underpass, they usually check like this. You know? They look at mid, and then they check window. And the first thing they'll see is this guy right here. So what you want to do is stop this guy from checking that spot. And this setup is when you have some guy in connector. Right here. Watching underpass. And you have this crossfire where you watch his underpass and he watches your connector. If they push up connector, shot is made. They look at window. And what this does is it enables connector dude to use that op shot as a way to kill people pushing up connector. Does that make sense? You're baiting each other to get kills, and this is effective baiting. This is what Luminosity does. It's a very strong setup. This one guy connector can also go back here. The two guys in window could go to A very easily. It's just a straight line. Like, they get to go to B to retake from cat. Usually you have a deficiency of players who retake from cat, and you have players more so just all in market, you know? With this setup, you're playing a retake on B and one solo on B, which is called Zera in Luminosity. And it's a very strong setup because it allows for fast rotates. Like, these two dudes, they're key because they get to go to A fast, they get to go to B fast, they get to go to take mid control. It's just such a strong setup, and Luminosity just runs it like it's crazy. Here's something that I've seen Guardian do. So this is a way to counter the setup. It's what's it called? It's wall bangs, and you'll probably know what I'm doing right here. Guardian spams this spot, if I got it right, and it's supposed to get a headshot for anyone like right here. You could also wall bang this spot, if I could get it right. You like connect it with the railings, and you wall bang it. Well, better than that, but essentially what Guardian does is that they watch Luminosity's demos, and they know they play on these bricks right here, and they know they play in this window room right here. So what Guardian does is he wall bangs this wall and that brick like wall, and if you're lucky, you get a headshot on the dude in crossing over. So when you go for that pick mid, or when Guardian goes for that pick mid and he sees no one window, he knows Luminosity has a setup where they have two guys window, and that guy needs to drop down through the vent to get to bricks too. So he just wall bangs this, hope he gets a headshot. He either tags him, he either misses, or he gets a headshot. It's all good. They like to post Fallen holding for A site though. And here is where I'm going to talk about smokes. So there's 3 smokes that you should really know on Mirage A. I'm going to go over them right now. They are this stair smoke, the CT smoke. I use the NIP one. I should probably swap to a different one. And the jungle smoke. These smokes are all perfectly fine. They're actually perfect. And what usually happens is that people mess up this smoke. I do this perfectly because I'm a nerd. I know this smoke like deer, but there's this little hole right here, right? And people usually plant behind default. This hole in the CT smoke is literally there every single time. If there's no hole right here, there's usually like a sort of hole like kind of right here or whatever. And what this little hole does is it allows your CT player to get this kill on the planter. Stewie2K plays this position because he knows no one can really do this smoke perfectly unless they're like gods. Like, to do this smoke perfectly, you need to have it right next to this so that people, when they jump on this box, they're blind. That's a very key position. Also, the smokes that I did don't have a hole for jungle and connector, but some people throw the smokes such a way that it's right here and it's right here. Oh, okay. And this big hole. This is over exaggerated, but closer up, there's this little hole right here, and people usually throw their smokes badly. That's why when I say you do the stair smoke, you want to aim right in the middle of the little shape, dude. Because what aiming in the middle does is it prevents that hole from happening. If you have that hole from happening, an opera at stairs will absolutely dominate you when you execute. And if you want to go for anything greedy, if you want to kind of like push or play bench, you're kind of screwed because your smokes are off. But when you do my smokes, or like if you do like a push right here, an opera can easily see you cross and kill you. Like, there's always these 2 holes in the smokes. Ideally, you want a smoke that does this, and a smoke right here. But there's almost always a hole right here and it's like almost impossible to get rid of. Whenever there's a hole in the smoke and it's like close to a wall, let me see if I could do this right here.
I'm throwing
Let me
smoke.
throw one. And there's like this little hole right here. You can see them cross, but it's hard to hit this shot when your crosshairs right here, right? But you can put your crosshair in the smoke. So once you see their body, shoot. They're dead because they're running one way, you know? And they're going to walk into your crosshair. You can use that to your advantage. Here's something Fallen does that's a little bonus extra for the CT smoke player. So CT player does his smoke, right? The NIP smoke.
Smoke.
You go to that little crack, you push forward above that, and then you throw it. And then you go here. You go to this wall, and you aim with a Molotov at the between these two pillars.
Throwing
In
fire.
the air, what it should do is it Molotov sandwich. This guy's dead. And when you execute it out, sandwich is a very like strong position. Under palace is a very strong position. That's why I use the Molotovs for this, for these positions. And to clear them, you just use one grenade. It's just $400. That's why pro players will use Molotovs, because it will enable you to clear
Throwing fire.
and possibly raise your chances of getting a kill, because they're guaranteed to take this damage if they're playing these two positions. And once you clear those positions out, you have sight, and then it's just a retake, and it's just holding, and then just if bad play happens and you lose, good play happens, you win. But getting those two frags on sandwich and on palace, under palace, are great. I'm going to show you something that I learned watching FPL or ESCAS. It's this flashbang. You line up with this wall, and you have a flashbang out. There's this little frame for this door right here, and there's that little pole, right? You line up so this wall is perfectly straight, aim at the middle, and you're going to run forward until your crosshair hits that plank, and then you release.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
And what this does is it does a perfect rush A-ramp flash. So anyone setting up for jungle smoke, they're blind. Anyone setting up for CT smoke, they're blind. Anyone setting up for this door smoke for CT, they're blind. It blinds up these three positions, right? And what this does is if they throw their smokes, you do the flash, they push out, they're all blind. And then you have a potential 4K when you buy pistols. That makes this rush so much stronger. It's so damn good. Not only that, you could use it for a grenade. You could do a grenade stack.
Grenade.
Like that. You
Grenade.
could do that.
I'm throwing a grenade.
Tap right there. And when you have three people throwing grenades into A ramp, they're all dead. But that's only if you're gambling. Really, really gambling. Like you could, here's the two things you could do. You could push A ramp on an eco, like this. Or you could set up for some sort of grenade execute kind of thing. So they throw their smokes on A, you throw your grenades. They are executing on B, you have a fast rotate. So maybe kind of doing the grenade stack or setting up for that is better than pushing A ramp, because it enables you to have this insurance on B. It's just a weaker firepower play though, because as pistols you want to play up close to the enemy. Alright, here's the last strat that I'm going to go over. It is the Luminosity thing. I've been going over Luminosity strats like crazy right now. They play on an eco. One player right here, and one player right here. Once they hear mid control or someone going up connector, this guy peeks, and this guy peeks at the same time. And they spam their pistols, hoping to get one headshot in the head. They get the kill, they fall back, or they get the AK, etc. They could also smoke, pick up the gun, run back, and they have this control. And playing right here enables it so that you overpower this opponent. He can't headshot both of you, but you have two people. You have two people shooting at him at the same time. He's dead. And you say 3, 2, 1 peek, boom, you get a free kill. And then you get to fall back to good post-plant or plant positions. You could do the same thing for apartments. One player right here and one player right here. This is what Team Liquid did. But to do that, you need to do this smoke, so you have the time to get up onto apartments. Because when they're right here, and there's no smoke right here, they have a potential to see you crossing on top. Okay? So those were nerding out strats that I observed and that I'm going to probably use in matchmaking. Hope you guys like this kind of video. If you guys like this kind of video, please like, rate, comment, or subscribe. I've been streaming on Twitch. You can find me on the Otis Ranger at Twitch TV. And that's going to be it for me today. Sorry I haven't been posting a lot. I've been studying for college finals. And hopefully I'll see you folks in another video. Peace.